games, but here we are in the elimination match.
Indeed, we are one of these players is going to have to come back next season, as we kick it off, of course, on 2,000 atmospheres. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have a blue Zerg player coming out from the Philippines. He is going to be representing the Juggernaut. He is Gavia Napoleon Maquises Acampado, but we just call him EnDerr.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2,000 atmospheres, LE. For a long time, he has been on a very long hiatus, but he is making his return and looking strong. It is RiSky.
Don't forget, you're here forever. Sign that every StarCraft player sees when they say they're gonna retire.
Shaking my head, mate. Shaking my head. RiSky was just letting us know earlier. I think the mainstream were talking about it as well. RiSky hasn't competed since October of last year. He hasn't played a competitive match, so it's been a long time. But despite his hiatus, you know, it's one of those things. Class is permanent, form is temporary, right? Like, he looked really good against Probe.
Yeah, and it was honestly a little bit surprising because I know that Probe as well has taken a little bit of a step back, but you know, just watching him in Names at Champs this past weekend, I thought, okay, yeah, Probe, not quite the monster that he once was, but still pretty much in form, and for RiSky to make his match against him that close, I gotta say, I think that this matchup is going to be even closer.
Oh yeah,
not gonna be as long, but closer.
I'd be surprised if it's as long, mate. As talking a little bit about the game, you know, both players did go for hatch first, so nothing to really write home about. There were no early pools or early gases or any kind of early tech. But yeah, I also wanted to touch on the fact that Probe, even though he wasn't our aims at champion, like, he looked like a monster in the late game. It was typically, you know, early cheeses that knocked him out, that essentially were his downfall. But you know, RiSky didn't have to necessarily rely on that. But here in the ZVZ, we'll see how he does against one of the best Zergs that Southeast Asia has to offer.
Oh yeah. I think even in the previous matchup against Mio Micah, I saw a lot of predictions coming in, and a lot of people thought that EnDerr was the favorite in that.
Yeah.
So this is, yeah, gonna be a little bit unpredictable, shall we say.
I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, EnDerr is a DreamHack Oceania champion, if you remember. I think it was winter 2021 or 2020. No, the year before that, I should say. Yeah. 2020 even. So yeah, like, he's definitely had his time in the sun. Meanwhile, we do have a little bit of a ling run by. Does get into the main base, does confirm the scout, just making sure, okay, no additional gases have been taken, no fast, like, 2-base lair or anything like that. May even pick up a couple of drones.
Yeah, picks off a drone. Very nice defense here from RiSky, a really good grouping together of the queens, and very nice mineral walking as well with the drones. So in the end, he does only lose one drone, but EnDerr definitely got what he was looking for here.
Yeah, I mean, because of that, because of all these lings, this lair is delayed. RiSky wanted to wait until all these lings were cleaned up before really starting it. So, you know, his potential meter, or actually, I said potential meter, never mind. His potential play is going to be a little bit delayed. EnDerr playing a lot more standard, you know, he's got his own Roach Warren, he's getting his own his own third base as well. But he's unaware of the timing of the lair and all these gases.
Yeah, and that's gonna spell trouble for him if he doesn't, you know, confirm this very, very soon. RiSky looking to go for a bit of a Goliath push.
Yeah, are you feeling Goliath or are you feeling Nidus? I mean, we got options.
Nidus is a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he wants to take a third base, so he's gonna be utilizing that larva, I guess. Oh,
or is he? Oh, he is. Gonna take a bit of a ninja here. Or is he?
Yes, he does. I love this. He's hiding the drone right now. The Lings, they're looking to try and deny any kind of third base, so that drone was looking a little bit vulnerable. In the end, hasn't been taken. Drone survives, and the Lings confirm the fast lair, as they did see the Roach Warren researching.
Yeah, EnDerr definitely knows he has to take up a little bit of a defensive position right now. But to what extent here? Now, EnDerr did already finish up that third base, and he wants to saturate it, but he knows that he can't for quite some time.
Oh, yeah. We'll see how this goes here, as I see like RiSky can hit a pretty strong timing here with +1 range and with his roach speed as well. We'll see if he even intends to take this to really saturate this third.
Yeah, it is quite a bit of a forward position here from RiSky. We've seen it time and time again from Zerg players. By taking a non-linear third, you're just using it as a bit of a jumping off point. Now, that's not to say that that's the only purpose of the non-linear third, but it's definitely you're giving yourself a lot more opportunity with that than when you are taking the other third base location.
Yeah, definitely. It's also a little bit more exposed, right? You know, they can be attacked from multiple angles as well, as both players did end up taking their triangular third. But yeah, for the time being, things are kind of evening up here. Despite the faster upgrades for RiSky, EnDerr has been able, for the most part, to catch up. He's still behind when it comes to roach speed, but not behind when it comes to supplies. So, I mean, it won't really matter too much if he's the defender. Yeah, we're just getting into a longer roach versus roach, which I feel like isn't really what we expected from this series.
I was looking forward to my Ling Bane versus Ling Bane coming in here, you know. It's flooded up with Lings and nothing else, but yeah, we are definitely slowing things down a little bit. I have a feeling EnDerr does want to be a little bit more aggressive here, though. He has... Okay, now he's resumed droning. But still, he has a pretty massive roach lead, and Galera Constitution's about to finish up.
Yeah, it is. It's just about to finish up, so both players will be equal in that respect. Meanwhile, both players are working towards +2 as well, so we're equal in upgrades. At the moment, EnDerr does have a slight roach lead, but RiSky, he's getting his own roaches. He's even making his own defensive spine. And the big difference is that RiSky will have some Ravagers as well to force a little bit of micro out of EnDerr.
Yeah, and that's especially important as the defender here. You don't want all of these roaches to get a really nice concave on top of everything. And throwing out some biles is a fantastic way of just breaking it all up. Like so, RiSky breaks up the roach army, fights just little bits of roaches at a time, and he is able to defend. Potentially go for a bit of a counter harass. Oh, EnDerr, I don't know if you want to do that.
It was tempting to try and dive on top of those Ravagers, but for the time being, EnDerr is forced all the way back. And now I'm a little bit concerned because RiSky, he went double Evo Chamber, so there will be a timing here where he will be ahead by upgrades because of that carapace. But with the contamination, it looks like EnDerr will be slowing that down a little bit further.
You have to wonder if EnDerr realizes that, or realizes how far behind he is when it comes to the upgrades. He isn't right now, but as you said, with the double Evo Chamber, then eventually RiSky is just going to continue to get more and more and more ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, we do see EnDerr trying to test the defenses of RiSky, trying to push in 2 places at once, but RiSky is here to reciprocate, to push him all the way back. He does lose his queen here at the third base location, but he will win the engagement overall.
Yeah, almost wins on 2 fronts, but yeah, for now, he absolutely crushes the Sovereign attack of EnDerr over here. Behind all of this, though, we were talking about it in the previous series. EnDerr, when he had the map control, wasn't really doing much of it. This time, he uses this opportunity to secure a 4th. Yeah,
I really love this, right? We saw how EnDerr was essentially, again, containing RiSky here on 3 bases. He takes a 4th base, he drones up even further, does have that economic advantage, but RiSky now finishes up +1 carapace. So now he will have the stronger roaches overall. He even has the much higher Ravager count.
Stronger roaches, he has much more roaches and more Ravagers as well. Like you were saying, all of these biles don't quite connect, but they do force EnDerr to regroup, and in that time, RiSky is finding himself a nicer chokehold.
Yeah, exactly. He still can't fully find a way in, as this is kind of a choke point, kind of a funnel, if you will, so numbers don't really mean too much here, as EnDerr's just waiting for his opponent to push into him, and he's just buying a little bit more time. But EnDerr is supply blocked with the death of that Overlord. Ugh, 6 Overlords on the way.
Oh no. Yeah, that Overlord printer is going blue right now, and with these 6 Overlords, it does mean that EnDerr isn't using that larva to build more army. In fairness, I suppose he couldn't anyway. Not when he was supply capped, but still, this is not the most efficient use of his resources. RiSky finally breaks on through here, gets a concave on top of EnDerr's forces, and it looks like he can just keep on going.
Yeah, he does end up breaking through the defenses. Again, the supply block was brutal here for EnDerr, especially because he's down in upgrades this entire time. His army has just been straight up worse than that of RiSky. The 4th base goes down. EnDerr is trying to muster a defense, but at this point, it's a little bit too late. EnDerr, he's trying to go for Burrow right now and tunneling claws, but there's no way that finishes.
Yeah, I don't know about this, but I guess he doesn't have that much larva to produce units, so just trying to find other ways to spend his money.
Yeah, exactly. And now workers pulling left and right at the third base location. GG gets called, and RiSky takes game 1.
Very, very nicely done. A very close game number 1 that we've had out here. But I think you caught it earlier on, like, the one moment that really killed EnDerr, that supply cap.
Yeah, exactly. Like RiSky, he was maxed out. He was ready to go, and EnDerr was down 20 supply.
Yeah.
Now is not the time to be down in supply. Unfortunately, especially with EnDerr being stuck at home and being a little bit supply blocked, he wasn't throwing down any additional stack defense, right? Any spine crawlers, the same way that RiSky did when he was a defender. So EnDerr not really respecting the advantage that RiSky really had there, and he didn't really try and supplement his supply deficit.
Yeah. Even then, I like to imagine anyway, with, the defensive advantage in general, you can try to come back from being a little bit down in supply like that. But, yeah, RiSky was able to make that supply deficit permanent in a sense by just killing that one Overlord. Let's keep in mind that one Overlord going down. Just prevented EnDerr from producing anything for a good half a minute, and in that time, RiSky knew his advantage. He took advantage of his advantage in a way, and yeah, just kept going until EnDerr was dead.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we also can't underestimate the power of the Ravager as well. I want to say we had 6+ Ravagers for EnDerr. Sorry, for RiSky against only 2 of EnDerr. The added DPS, the added micro as well, forcing your opponent to respect them and to maneuver their forces. Just very clean play from one of our players here.
Yeah. And now, we'll see if that continues on Glittering Ashes. I almost said LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We, of course, have our red Zerg player already up 1-0 in this best-of-3. He has a very good chance of continuing to fight back and potentially make it out of this group as well. He is currently teamless. He is RiSky.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Glittering Ashes. Glittering Ashes? We have the Filipino Zerg player himself representing the Juggernauts. It is EnDerr.
One map away from elimination.
There we go, mate. Also, I want to give a bit of a shout out to the people in the chat. Thank you for letting us know about our audio levels. I would appreciate it, Yako, if you could move your mic a little bit closer.
Yes.
I'd appreciate that. As we are adjusting our levels, let us know if things sound a little bit better from your end in the chat as we get into game 2.
Yeah. It's work in progress, shall we say.
Yeah, as once again, mate, incredibly standard openers.
Yep. I bet we're not even going to see Banelings this series.
It's possible, mate, as both players go for Hatch Gas Pool once again. I'm a little bit shocked, but at the same time, I'm not too surprised because EnDerr is against the wall right now. This is the elimination match. He's down in this series. Is he really going to risk it all on a fast pool?
I mean,
on glittering.
Yeah, that is definitely fair. I think a couple of years ago, I would absolutely say, yeah, that's just kind of the type of player EnDerr is. But these past couple of years, he has mellowed out a little with age, shall we say. And it's not just him, and pretty much all of the Juggernauts have been playing a bit more standard in recent times.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. There's a reason why standard can be really good. So, they're just rounding out their skill set. Meanwhile, EnDerr does end up producing 6 lings here, not your typical 4, as he's immediately zooming out across the map. Are they going to do too much? I mean, RiSky, the Queens are going to finish up. With good enough micro, RiSky shouldn't lose too many workers.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect him to lose too much here either. At most, maybe one previously, but EnDerr, he just wants a little bit of insurance here. He isn't entirely sure what RiSky is up to, so yeah, he wants to make sure that he is able to get a full scout off, I suppose. Yeah. That means making additional lings, and may as well.
And I love that RiSky, he even brought his main queen down from the main base as well, just for that added DPS. Lings are going to be able to run past, and they kill 1 ling in total. They will get a full scout off. But again, with good enough drone drilling, we shouldn't be sealing a drone kill. Up.
That ling died to the drones, just like that, and did one drone go down here? No, they didn't. That was Ling, actually.
Yeah, the Lings go down. Queen's are going to be able to clean this up. The Lings of EnDerr barely get close enough, and they will confirm the lair.
Whew. Very important scout for him over here.
Yeah, so once again, just like the previous game, RiSky, he is going to be walling off on 2 bases. He is going to be going for the 2-base lair.
Yeah, once again, gonna be keeping our eyes on the gases. 2 more get taken. Come on, RiSky. I know you want to take that 4th one.
Oh god.
He does!
He is gonna be taking his 4th gas. You know, are we gonna be seeing the Muta play? We'll see. Last game he was also taking his gases, but he just ended up going for faster roach speed instead. So, you know, he's got options. And my oh my, EnDerr doing his best Miyamaki impression here.
Running down this one Overlord. It's so much more dangerous to do this nowadays too, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't transfuse off of creep. You know, like you're leaving yourself so vulnerable as well. There was only 1 queen instead of 2, as RiSky is moving out with his Lings. But we can see, unfortunately, despite all the gases, RiSky is going for roach speed.
Yeah, an interesting choice here from RiSky to take all 4 gases and continue to commit to roaches. I imagine that this is just for getting upgrades a little quicker, right? Just like in the previous game, he was the first player to go for a double Evo. I imagine it's pretty much the same here. I mean, it's why he delayed his 3rd.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, he's going to be able to take this 3rd base. This is already on the way. He has a strong enough army to defend it, even against a Ling run by, even despite skipping Banelings. Meanwhile, EnDerr also skipped it, and for the most part, we're kind of getting a repeat of game 1.
Yeah, just on a much larger map and a bit of a longer rush distance as well. Now, EnDerr has saturated his 3rd base, and ideally he wouldn't be building any more drones for now, as RiSky is producing nothing but roaches.
Yeah, I kind of like that EnDerr has been droning up as heavily as he has. Like, he's up to 60 drones, essentially. Like, he is fully saturated on 3 bases. But is this going to hurt him in the end? Because, as you were pointing out, RiSky is done with droning. He's making nothing but roaches. He could hit a strong timing here. Roach speed just finishes up as well. +1 range is still not done for EnDerr.
And he is zooming across the map right now. A couple of roaches already land before EnDerr can really get any defenses up. EnDerr still needs a little bit of time to produce his roaches, but RiSky is not willing at all to give it to him.
Yeah, exactly. Boys are being pulled again. EnDerr, he can afford to lose drones right now, but he cannot afford to lose roaches. EnDerr with a very crisp timing. He's again making nothing but roaches behind this, not droning up his 3rd base at all, and this may just be it.
I think it's gonna be the queens do not have any energy left. Drone's finally going back home, and EnDerr is able to get a little bit of defenses up and running. You know, there was a real nice concave going on over there. And when it's all said and done, he is still a bit ahead when it comes to the workers.
It just goes to show how much EnDerr droned up, right? Like, he lost 11 drones, and he's still ahead by 10. It's insane. So all that EnDerr has to do right now is defend, which is why I kind of wish that he threw down some more spines. Like, he just has to survive, Yaku. He just has to survive. RiSky was all in. His queens are even coming across the map, but RiSky has given up on the all in. He is making drones.
We see a very massive reversal of the dynamic over here, Light, as EnDerr, he actually is trying to redrone a little bit and recoup his losses, but outside of that, he shouldn't be making any more drones from here. He should be going full on for that counterattack as he is spreading out his overlords. Okay.
Yeah, the overlords are being spread out. He does confirm this, by the way, with this overseer scout. EnDerr sees all these drones at the 3rd base, so he knows, okay, RiSky, he's stopped with the aggression. He's not going to be coming across the map. And I like this. EnDerr immediately goes for a Spire.
He prevents a scout as well from that overseer.
Oh.
Did get scouted by a Ling.
Yeah, it was scouted in the end, so we do have a cancel there. It was such a great move there from EnDerr, but he respects RiSky enough to know that, okay, I cannot get away with it.
Yeah, so what should you do from here? Just max out on roaches. Pull a bit of a RiSky, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment wouldn't be a great time to push out because, again, RiSky does already have +2, but, you know, with double Evo chambers, EnDerr is going to be able to catch up. I wouldn't be opposed to him taking a 4th base from here as well, but instead, he's moving out.
Yeah, this feels a little bit off to me when it comes to the timing. I do think that he'll hit before +2 finishes up, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. Like that, RiSky also went in, confirms there is no. The Spire did get cancelled, so now he has to focus on nothing but defenses against ground units.
Yeah, exactly. As we see more spines on the way, RiSky really respecting the army that's encouraging upon him as a couple of roaches are heading over towards that 4th base. At the same time, the main army of EnDerr is looking to push into the natural.
Yeah, small force just trying to distract the army of RiSky, but he does not take the bait. He sends a small force as well over to that northern position to meet that and deflect those roaches. Actually sending maybe a little bit too more, as EnDerr is now maxed out on roaches and Ravagers.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. 200 supply of RiSky. Still trying to catch up. Upgrades are finally evened up here. And EnDerr's going to try and force his way in. But again, RiSky, he can always just fall back to these mines.
Yeah, and that is the last place that EnDerr wants to fight right now.
Exactly, EnDerr, he will give up this position. At the same time, we had a little bit of a skirmish with that small roach force, and EnDerr also couldn't find a way in there either. And now EnDerr, he's remaking the Spire.
May as well.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been great to have had it earlier, but you know, it's on the way, and oh, RiSky instead is the one to go for a counterattack.
Again, may as well. He knows that he is nice and solid back home with those spine crawls and with that roach force. Now, the roaches here, they will get intercepted by EnDerr, but they have already done their job. They've delayed that 4th base for quite some time. It's RiSky working on saturating his own 4th.
Yeah, exactly. EnDerr's being pulled a little bit out of position. We could see a pseudo base trade as RiSky does send a large force across the map, but at the same time also comes back home to defend.
Oh, very nice concave here from RiSky, able to take out a couple of roaches before the big fight even happens. Well, I'm not even sure if there's going to be a big fight. Big difference between EnDerr and RiSky. EnDerr, once again neglecting that set defense. These roaches are just going to get so many free kills.
Yeah, exactly. EnDerr, he has to go all in. He's forcing himself on top of this army. Again, RiSky has a lot of supply across the map, so he just doesn't have the numbers to defend. It looks like EnDerr will break this 3rd base location, but at the same time, RiSky was able to take down the 3rd of EnDerr.
Yeah, a little bit of an even trade going on right now. Both players losing workers left and right. Of course, this hurts EnDerr a bit more than it hurts RiSky, as RiSky does have that 4th base.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, it looks like the Roach Warren of RiSky is going to go down. EnDerr has so much momentum, forcing himself into the main base, into the middle of the production. He's going to get fully surrounded. Can RiSky clean this up?
Maybe with this full surround on top of that choke point, a couple of biles do land, and a lot of the roaches of EnDerr are getting very badly bruised. But of course, we always have to remember, EnDerr has the ability to reproduce these roaches. Well, not anymore. He spent his bank, but he's made a ton of. He's also made a couple of mutas and a ton of drones as well behind this.
Yeah, both players are actually droning up behind this, but you know what? That tech is going to come into play. EnDerr is making mutas.
And what shoots up here is that golden question here, like.
Exactly. Even though both players are hurting so much, here we go. The mutas reveal themselves, and there are no queens. GG! EnDerr fights back and takes game 2.
And we find ourselves tied up sideways 1-1. Told you this was going to be a close series.
Yeah, that was honestly really impressive there by EnDerr. It was really chaotic, as we would expect, where we kind of had like a weird base trade where both players sent like large forces across the map. But EnDerr, he just had that much more, and he also could just remax on mutas.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I honestly thought for sure EnDerr was dead after RiSky pushed out with all those forces, because again, he didn't have any of those defenses back at home that RiSky did. But you mentioned it, RiSky sent out a few too many roaches in his attack. All EnDerr had to do was recognize, wait a minute, you don't have the defenses either. I'm just gonna push in with this, and also I'm just gonna, make sure I have a couple of defenses back at home. Small little handful.
Yeah, I think the big difference, I feel, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I do know that when EnDerr went out across the map, like, he did have a lot of Ravagers with his army. Meanwhile, RiSky only sent pure Roaches, so he had a bit of a harder time breaking through those defenses of EnDerr. He just didn't really have the most ideal army across the map, so he was just struggling to get more damage done. Because of that, EnDerr just was able to get so many more worker kills and just overwhelm and get into that main. And
that's what it really comes down to at the end of the day. And now it all comes down to this. You know, one final map is going to decide who gets eliminated and who gets a second chance.
Oh, exactly. We are going into our ace match. It all ends here. Meanwhile, I just got an update from our lovely admin. It does seem as if Micah takes down Probe 2-0.
What?
Ah!
What? That quickly?
Yeah. Oh my god. I mean, it's me.
Wow. I suppose it is. Alrighty then.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to Micah. He comes out first in Group A. We still have to find out who gets eliminated first as well.
Indeed we do. Let's see which player is going to be facing Probe in that decider match, and EnDerr asking for a quick 2 minutes to just test out some hotkeys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's going to be testing out some hotkeys, so it looks like we're going to have to wait a little bit here before we start our next series. But yeah, honestly, I'm very impressed with how Micah performed. I'm a little bit jealous. I wish we were there to watch it and see what happened. But yeah, really impressive for Micah to come out in first place.
Yeah, especially because he had to beat Probe to get there. I mean, we were talking about how after match number 1, well, I guess at the start of the series, we were all kind of speculating a little bit about what Micah's form would look like. And then especially after he took out EnDerr 2-0, we thought, okay, he's pretty good, but that was a ZVZ. That's Micah's best matchup.
Mm-hmm.
To take out Probe of all players in a matchup which historically I think, well, I guess it was better than ZVP, but you know, a matchup that isn't quite as solid as as ZVZ.
Mm-hmm.
That is very impressive.
Definitely. We were talking about it before, but Probe is weakest in the early to mid game. Like, if we went all the way to like a late game composition, then Probe would win 100%. He is favored, I guess I should say. But Micah, he's all about those like awkward timing attacks, right? The way that he's able to hit you when you least expect it, with what you least expect, period. You know, like Hydra timings, or even, you know, some Nidus plays. Yeah, Micah's a really quirky player, and like, if you're not used to playing against him, it can be really difficult to face that.
Yeah, and I think nobody's really reacclimated to playing against Micah since his hiatus. At least other than the Juggernauts, but even then.
Yeah. Oh my god. So yeah, congratulations to Mio. Again, it does mean that Probe isn't out of the tournament yet. He's going to be waiting in the decider match. And for those who are curious, the decider match won't be played until tomorrow. It won't be today.
Yeah. So players will have a little bit of time to readjust and rethink a little bit. Have a little bit of rest and a little bit of time to develop a strategy.
Exactly. And that's kind of what we want, right? Like, that's why so many people love GSL, because, you know, typically players have a week to prepare for their matches. We won't give them a week. They're going to have a day, but at least it's something, you know, to make sure that the decider match is as pristine as possible.
Look, for some players, a couple of hours is all they need.
True.
Half an hour, 20 minutes is all they need.
Yeah, you know, there are some players like Mio who just, you know, does it off the dome, you know? He doesn't necessarily come in prepared, but he just wins anyway. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what he wants you to think. He wants you to think he ain't prepared. But really, he just went through years of thinking in the span of 1 minute.
Oh, God. But yeah, hopefully everything is okay, as we do have to our players are just making sure that all the hotkeys are ready for the ace match. I don't blame them. Oh, I also just realized, the ace match is on Berlingrad.
It is! We were missing this from our previous series, and now we get to see it. We were actually speculating a lot. We kind of thought that we might not be seeing it at all. At least in the Oceania regional, but here we go. It's going to be Berlingrad, and it's going to be a ZVZ.
Oh boy. Yeah, it is going to be on that Berlingrad, which means, you know, we were talking about how we've been surprised we've been getting into Roach versus Roach game after game after game. That could all change here.
Yeah. It's definitely a map that's very conducive to Lingbane.
Oh yeah. It really is. It really is. And watch us like get into another like long roach versus roach, and like Pig and Maynard are waiting for us. They're like, what the hell are these? What? EnDerr's in here. Why is he making roaches? Like, what's going on?
This is the new juggernauts, guys.
Shaking my head. Shaking my head. But we apologize for the delay for Game 3. But it seems as if our players are finally ready, and we can begin.
I think we can.
Exactly. As
We.
you can. Go on.
We are going to conclude who gets eliminated.
Oh, exactly. We are diving into the ace match of our elimination match of Group A. The first player in all of DreamHack to get knocked out of the entire tournament, out of all regions.
That's got to sting at least a little bit.
A little bit, a little bit.
The first player to get knocked out. Wow.
Yeah.
Way to kick him well down, right?
I'm sure it's not how people think of it, but you know, it's a weird fun fact.
Yeah, well, fun, quote unquote, as we conclude this best of 3 elimination group stage match of the DreamHack Masters Valencia Oceania Rest of Asia regional event. We're here in the bottom right hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom right hand corner. We have a blue Zerg player coming down from the Philippines. We have none other than the player representing the Juggernauts. He is EnDerr.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have the red Zerg player himself. Again, we're tied up 1-1. This is it. This is the ace match. It is RiSky. Just realized we didn't set up the logos mod. Feels
Oh.
Again, we were thrown off by the beginning of this game, but it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we get them for the next series that we have. Time on Hong Kong, and let's not forget, we also have another match of DreamHack Oceania after this.
Oh yeah, exactly. After this, we will be featuring EnDerr versus Ranger, and they're both in the chat already.
There we go. I like that. Nice and prepared. I know Ranger at least is here watching. Not sure if that's the most useful thing. You can't really glean anything about his opponents from this, but nice to see everybody coming around.
They're cheering for their boys, you know, EnDerr, Pez, Ranger. I'm sure the rest of the AAU mates are all watching as well, to see who makes it through.
Yeah. As for now, we get the first place coming out from our players. Not a pool first, both players not taking too many risks, which is surprising.
I know, right? The hell? Show us the 13, show us the 12-11s. What is going on? As we are having a pretty standard opener here, but both players did have a little bit of time to think and prepare. And what I will say is that these like 2 base openers from RiSky, I feel like may work a little bit better here on Berlingrad if he tries to hit a timing with roaches. We saw that even last game he dealt a lot of damage. You know, if he had hits a couple seconds sooner, maybe could have ended the game.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes on the mini-map here, Light. I'm going to be specifically at these mineral walls here to see which player mines it out first. Because that's going to tell us who wants to be more aggressive.
Oh yeah, so far they are left alone. EnDerr takes his 3rd base on time. At the same time, RiSky does go for his lair, so just like we've seen in the previous games, fast lair for RiSky, fast or regular 3rd from EnDerr.
Yeah, and on a larger map like Glittering Ashes, that works out way better for EnDerr. On a map like Berlingrad, this is a pretty big risk, but you know, EnDerr does have his eyes on the map right now. He spread his overlords out. He sent his Zerglings to a forward location, so he's relying on being able to react quickly enough when he sees anything coming out from RiSky here.
And it's hard because you don't have a lot of time to react here.
Really good. Yeah.
What I will point out is that this time EnDerr didn't make 6 lings to begin with, so he doesn't have enough to run past these queens. He only has 2, so he cannot just dive in and get a scout off. So he's going to be in the dark a little bit longer, but he goes for +1 melee. And he mines out the minerals!
Alright, there we go! What were we saying here, Light? This is the EnDerr that we know and love.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to try and test the waters here as he does dive into one of these queens. Again, there's not enough energy for transfuse.
Yeah, might be able to kill one of
Oh.
them, but he will. Oh! Actually be able to slip in. I thought he'd back away after killing one queen.
Wow, the wall was not a wall. The lair has been scouted. Mining time is being lost here as well. As EnDerr, the Lynx are still in the main base. Unfortunately, there is no Baneling nest, so we can't be cheeky and like morph in Banelings or anything like that. But you know what? He is still here being a nuisance.
Yeah, drawing all these queens out of position. He's actually joining up right now, which I guess is the right call to make. I mean, +1 is still less than halfway completed. So he might as well. He knows that RiSky is once again going for roaches, so he's going to have to be a lot more active with these lings. He's going to have to be able to catch these roaches as they move across the map and surround them immediately in small pockets.
Oh yeah, for those wondering, of course, with all these gases, EnDerr does intend to go straight into mutas. It can be really risky because you leave yourself vulnerable before your mutas come out. But that's why we see EnDerr making a flood of lings. You know, once these roaches come out, he's gonna have to rely on lings, gonna have to rely on surrounds, and plus on melee to clean them up.
Yeah, and without Carapace, these lings can absolutely chew through these roaches, but they are very, very vulnerable once these roaches get into a choke point or they hug a corner.
Yeah, I know, it looks like RiSky is getting ready to move out. He is mining those minerals here at his natural base. He's going to be ready to push out. At the same time, EnDerr has some options. He can try and get a surround, but there are a lot of roaches, or maybe he just goes for a run-by.
Yeah, the run-by is definitely a little bit of a risk here. He's definitely relying a lot on RiSky having to react to this, and he does! He's pulling the roaches back.
Ooh, the roaches actually turn around and they come back home. EnDerr is going to be buying a lot of time here.
Yeah, time that he is spending very, very wisely. A lot of spine crawls get thrown down. This was a very big weakness of EnDerr earlier on in the series, but now he is a little bit refreshed. Takes out the queens and backs away. That is a massive, massive pickoff for him.
Yeah.
But that's still a lot of roaches he has to contend with.
Exactly. RiSky gets pulled left and right. He loses all his queens. Ling to go for another run by. RiSky has to keep some roaches back at home. Meanwhile, he goes to the counterattack, but the spine forest is done.
It is done here in the natural base, and RiSky, I don't think he knows about the third base right now. That third is so vulnerable to the roaches.
Yeah, he has seen it. He chose not to. He wanted to try and end the game. So as a result, the third base is still up and running. He turns around once again. He's wasting a lot of time chasing these things where he could have at least killed that third.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is a play right now, but he has been able to supply cap EnDerr once again. There really aren't that many mutas out right now, and at such a low number, these mutas really aren't going to do much against all these roaches.
Yeah, it looks like regardless, RiSky should get a kill on this third base, so at least he will do this, but not much else. Again, ideally, he would have liked to have just straight up ended the game. Mutas will eventually be able to clean up all of these roaches, get map control, and we'll see if EnDerr can do more than that across the map.
Yeah, this is definitely a really nice pick-off for RiSky, being able to deny it at third base. But, like you said, it's still a position that EnDerr can recover from, especially thanks to all these mutas and thanks to the harassment potential they bring.
Exactly. Ooh, a couple more overlords to get taken out as well, so no more creep highway here for RiSky. Third base is still up and running, and with this spore, it looks like RiSky should be able to hold on to it. But there's still a lot of potential with these mutas. I mean, they don't have to hit the third. They could try and find their way into the main.
And EnDerr's definitely thinking that, or at least he was thinking that a little bit, but decides to turn around once he sees the queen. Yeah, this really is a game right now of just finding an opening. Yeah,
speaking of finding an opening, it looks like he's going to try and get one. He will get one queen.
Potentially. Okay, not quite able to get the second queen, not with that spore crawler in position. A lot of energy being spent on all these queens. RiSky sends a little bit of a run by. Wasn't quite looking at the minimap, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And two queens go down here. So honestly, pretty massive pickoffs here for RiSky. Despite not having map control, despite the mutas really controlling everything else, he still gets across the map, still gets two queens.
Yeah, nicely done. So, in a sense, we're almost even right now. I want to say that RiSky is ahead economically. I mean, just look at that worker count and the fact that his third is up and running and ready to go. He's actually going for the infestation pit right now, which I believe got scouted by EnDerr.
Oh, quickly checking here. EnDerr did see the infestation pit building, and now we have options. We can either go into pathogen glands for infestors to try and fungal all these mutas, or we can try and go straight into a hive instead and go into vipers.
¿Por qué no los dos? Right? Why not both? Well, I guess it would be a little too expensive on 3 bases, but yeah, Fungal and Parabomb combo, absolutely devastating to these mutas. Ling Run By makes it into the main.
Yeah, exactly. A queen goes down. EnDerr may have lost 6 drones across the map, but there is 0 mining happening in the main base of RiSky.
And look at that, he's taking out the Spore Crawlers that are in the main base. He's setting himself up so that when these Mutalisks come in, they are going to be absolutely devastating to this mineral line.
Go for it, Poppy. The Spore is at half HP. There are no queens here at all. There's no creep connecting the bases, so it's going to take him that much longer to get in. And here we go. The mutas go in.
And they are able to decimate all of these workers right now. EnDerr has evened up the worker count. And he is actually able to potentially... Okay, he's not going to be able to supply block RiSky here. Not even if he kills that Overlord, but... Yeah, this was absolutely devastating. Most of those Spore Crawlers were actually killed and not cancelled.
Yeah, at the same time, we have another run by Force here hitting the 3rd base. There are plenty of Spores this time, so the mutas aren't really going to do too much. But every single queen goes down.
There's no more anti-air. There's at least no more mobile anti-air right now. The Infestors are out. I think Pathogen Glands did finish up, but even if they did fungal the mutas, what is the follow-up here?
Yeah.
Fungals take such a long time to kill mutas on your own.
Exactly. At the same time, RiSky goes for a counterattack because the roaches have been doing nothing this entire time. They have to do some damage across the map, but there are spines. They're going to be able to take out some gases. I mean, EnDerr could have probably repositioned his spines a little bit better here, but the mutas are still going ham across the map. They get the lair.
Wow. Absolutely massive right now, and I love this for RiSky. Those spine crawls were the one really main mode of defense right now for EnDerr, so he just bypasses them with Tunneling Claws.
But there's nothing at home to defend. The roaches are across the map, so Lings get even more damage done here across the map at that 3rd base. Do we have detection? We do, so finally the roaches are being cleaned up.
And from here, it's really difficult to imagine RiSky recovering. In all fairness, though, despite the base lead that EnDerr has, he is very, very far behind in drones.
Yeah, like he's down to 44 workers. I'm surprised. These Lings haven't been dealing too much damage. Like, they've been dealing some inadvertent economic damage, forcing a lot of lost mining time, but RiSky has done a great job at keeping his workers alive.
He really has, and now it's going to be even tougher for EnDerr to get more kills, thanks to all of these Infestors that are out with a lot of energy on them as well. The Spore Crawlers are here. Still a little bit lacking when it comes to mobile anti-air, but he's got a pseudo Spore Forest. What's one step down? A Spore Garden, shall we call it?
A garden, a park, maybe?
Park, yeah.
But RiSky is still dealing damage across the map. He still has a couple of roaches alive as well. He's being such a nuisance. And he's like stabilizing, you know? He has to rebuild the lair, unfortunately, and has to work up towards a hive. But like, he's surviving. He has the Infestors. He has a decent amount of queens as well. The mutas are not going to be enough.
They really aren't. And what worries me for EnDerr here is that he, once again, has taken the map control. There's, no way that RiSky is able to move out across the map. But only now is he grabbing 4th.
Yeah, this 4th is honestly really late here. The entire time, RiSky hasn't really been able to be too aggressive, and there's been nothing stopping EnDerr from expanding. Finally, the 4th base is on the way, but like he's still even down in workers.
And there's no detection here once again.
Oh no, Papi, we need some spores. Thankfully, we do have spines, so these roaches, there will be something to stop them. At the same time, mutas are going to try and sneak into the main base, looking a little bit exposed.
Just a tad.
Yeah, he's thinking about diving in. I mean, we only have spores to defend. Oh my god! Oh, he's being locked out by the changelings!
That is such a smart maneuver here right now for EnDerr. He is well aware that those Infestors are stuck, but doesn't actually go into that position.
I know!
Once again, that he set up to have a genius play, but it wasn't quite as genius as it could have been.
Yeah, I wish he pulled the trigger and went for that main. Obviously, it takes a while to focus down all these spores, but damage could have been done regardless. Meanwhile, RiSky has eyes on this 4th base. He knows he can't deal damage at the 3rd because of all the spines, so he's waiting for the transfer. Oh, God.
Right now. We're just waiting.
Soon. You guys for it.
So walking on the landmine. And here's the detonation.
Yeah, 5 drones go down, but EnDerr has been switching into Roach Ravager. He's switching into a ground-focused army instead to brute force his way through the defenses. And do we have enough here? We have 22 roaches for RiSky, 28 to EnDerr.
Yeah, so a little bit more for EnDerr right now, but let's not forget all of these all of these infestors. Unfortunately, they don't have neural parasite, but a couple of fungals followed up by a couple of corrosive biles, that could be absolutely massive on this roach army.
Yeah, EnDerr, he wants to try and attack from all angles here. He is maxed out. He does have the supply to break this. But as you said, the spellcasters, not just the fungals, but also the transfuses as well from all these queens could come into play.
I didn't even consider that, but yeah, that's oddly enough one of the most valuable spells right now that he's got.
Oh, exactly. Meanwhile, the Red Ravager does hit towards the third base. The infestors are a little bit too preoccupied trying to deal with the mutas.
And they're fungling them down. The Spore Crawlers are getting a lot of nice kills on these Mutalisks, but he is losing the ground battle. Or is he?
Oh my god. I mean, it's so close. EnDerr is trying to break on through. Meanwhile, every single muta is going down. Ay. The fungals were on point. RiSky defends.
Really good corrosive biles over here from RiSky as well. Really able to split apart the army of EnDerr. EnDerr's biles left a little to be desired.
Exactly, and now this game is so much closer than it otherwise would have been, you know, like EnDerr, he doesn't have that much of an economic advantage. RiSky is making short work of his drones here at the fourth base once again. Upgrades are going to be a little bit in favor of EnDerr. +2 is about to finish up.
Indeed it will, indeed it will. And he has been able to remax. Well, he's getting pretty close to being remaxed.
Yeah, it's just always hard to call because even though EnDerr has the supply advantage, like, fungals and infestors kind of make this weird, you know? Like, depending on where the fungals are, depending on if he's able to stop any kind of big concave and slow down that army, like, it could make up for the lack of supply.
Yeah, without a doubt, positioning is the absolute most important aspect of Roach versus Roach. And like you said, you know, infestors really mess that up for the player who doesn't have it.
Yeah, they can, but you know what? RiSky's being pulled apart right now. A lot of queens do get picked up here towards the right. Meanwhile, the main army pushes towards the left-hand side. He does get fungled.
And he gets biled on top of that as well, but he is starting to take the high ground a little bit. RiSky breaking on through, but he doesn't quite have enough energy on the infestors anymore, it seems.
Oh, and
getting surrounded!
Yeah, the full surround comes in. The queens were not enough on the right-hand side. EnDerr finally breaks on through. The fungals were not good enough. And +2, the timing was on point here for EnDerr.
And now this is the momentum that EnDerr needs. He can just keep on producing more and more roaches and pushing on through. RiSky looking a little too far ahead. I saw he was getting the Lurker Den, but yeah, unfortunately not quite able to get them out. Lurkers would absolutely shut this down, but he needed time to get them.
Yeah, maybe being a little bit too greedy, taking up before he maxed out. Again, as you were saying, the Hydrogen was there. GG gets called, and EnDerr takes the series 2-1.